Okay. We'll just see if it comes up. Oh, there we go. Okay. Now, sorry to keep you guys waiting. I'm Calum, and this is Brian. If you
Here
want
we
to
go.
introduce yourself, Brian.
Hi, guys. My name is Brian Collins. I'm from Abbey Technology. I'm part of the team behind CrossFi and our first token in the space, GCAC. Um, with me on the team are Dr. Andrew Laguerre in Ireland. Um, Liam McNamara also is our Ethereum Solidity guru, and Peter Hall is our back office guy, and I'm very much more the compliance guy, the capital markets, and various other roles. And of course, we have Calum who's on here as well. Cal, if you wanted to say hi.
Yeah. So I'm Calum. You guys know me from the Telegram group and Twitter, and I've just joined recently. I'm still in college, but I'm finishing in about a week, and I'm very excited to get going with this project. And I really think it's a fantastic idea. So I can't wait to really get stuck into it and help grow this. So, guys, we will be taking a few questions in about 15 minutes if anybody has any. So make sure to comment and we'll be answering them later on. Until then, I'll kind of do a bit of an interview with Brian and we'll kick things off now, actually. So, Brian, what exactly is a CrossFi token? Obviously, there's been a lot of big hype from CEOs on your end, and well-respected crypto Olgerd said that it was the most exciting thing to happen to crypto in the last 3 years. So that's a very big statement, obviously. What do you think the reasoning behind that is?
Yeah, thanks, Cal. Look, fundamentally, CrossFi is a movement, as I said before. Um, it's really about trying to bridge across capital markets, public capital markets, with the decentralized finance space. That's like, if you like, the tagline for what we're trying to achieve here.
Yeah,
What we do is we look for CEOs of exciting public companies, and I'm relatively au fait with that whole space. So I would know people to look for. I'd know how to look at balance sheets. I'd know how to read PR, look at filings, and so on. And I'm also very technical come blockchain side of things because we've developed many blockchain projects in the past
yeah,
with our own team. So bridging those two worlds is one of the first things that we're trying to do. And the reason I want to do that is that there are really some amazing companies out there that are available to people who are living in America, for instance, or live in Ireland, or live in Germany, or somewhere like that. And you can buy into those companies relatively simply if they're listed on the Nasdaq or the NYSE, for instance. But
mm,
you got to put that in perspective. Half of the companies listed in America are not on NYSE, Nasdaq. There's over 10,000 companies listed on the OTC markets. That you can't trade OTC markets companies on something like Robinhood or the other tools. So we're
yeah,
opening up a whole new set of companies to American investors, but most importantly, we're opening up this brand of company, these exciting companies, not the mega caps, the Teslas, the Apples, and so on. If you want those, go to your local bank and buy those. They're great stocks. But if you want to take a look at new, innovative companies, exciting companies with big returns so far, the ones that we pick are very interesting companies in that respect,
yeah,
then you really have to kind of bridge the gap over to decentralized finance. Because I'd like people to look at an interesting company, for instance, listed on the OTC markets or the Canadian Stock Exchange as an example, and look at those companies. And if you're in India, Indonesia, Argentina, Australia, there should be a frictionless way to engage with those companies. And that's really what CrossFi is all about, is just to reduce the friction for all of us to be able to participate in the upside of companies that we have done our due diligence on, that we are excited about, and that we want to get into. So if our fundamental research points to this being a good company, then you know what, you're no longer precluded from getting access to these companies by virtue of the fact that you can't open a brokerage account at some small brokerage or some medium-sized brokerage in wherever you live. You can actually just connect your MetaMask, fund it with some crypto, and you can buy on Uniswap access to these companies. That's what I think CrossFi is a movement, and that's seriously why we have dozens of CEOs looking at us for just that reason. They want to expand their reach. They want to get their message out to people in the decentralized finance space. They want to get people aware of their company and aware of what they're building that we should all be excited about. So, Cal, really, that's kind of what CrossFi as a movement is going to represent. GCSE is the first of many tokens that are going to come in here. We will have dozens of companies coming in here like this.
Yeah, I suppose that's one of the big questions that I've gotten since we've launched the token is why, if there's already a stock exchange there, if the security is there already, then why buy the token over the stock? And I suppose that's what you're alluding to, really, is that it's
and you
not everyone
have
has
the
that
other side.
opportunity.
Yeah, and the other side on capital markets, which is kind of my kind of world a little bit, on a stock, just for argument's sake, a stock could be having a relatively quiet time and may not be, not many offers out there, not many bids.
Mm.
But automated market making, Uniswap, doesn't have the concept of bid and offer. It's always on, 24 hours a day, 365 days a year.
Yeah.
So there's no bid and ask, there's no spread, there's no nothing. There's an AMM. You want to buy it, you can go buy it. If you want to sell it, you can go and sell it. It's amazing what AMM is now bringing into this space, and that's what excites these CEOs. Just so
Yeah.
you're aware, if their stock is illiquid because of some issues that their press release wasn't that interesting, or oh my God, why can't you just do things faster? You only give us news once a month. Oh, you're a dreadful CEO. If he's getting that kind of pressure, that doesn't mean it's a bad company. It means he's busy executing. In my experience, it's generally the CEO is busy doing his job. And that's really fundamentally important to this. And now what we get is we get access to a marketplace where you can have tens of thousands of people in DeFi who have looked at the fundamentals of this a particular company, any company, and say, I like this company, I'm interested in it. Yes, it might sell up. There might be some momentum from events like this, Calum, or other things going forward. And if you bought it, for argument's sake, some very lucky people bought the GCSE token at just above 10 cents. Okay, so today it's trading at whatever, $30, give or take.
Yeah.
But if you did buy it, then you should have sold some, because that's the smart money. All smart money has a plan. So while it was low, you should have bought it because you've done fundamental research and you like the company. I like the stunk, as they say. And then after that, as it rises, sell some. Cover your original cost and let it go up because you believe in it. It may peak even more, sell another little bit more. If it goes up 2x, 3x, 5x, have a plan. That's what smart money is all about. And then if it sells off because people are looking for some magic potion or want to move on to another company, another opportunity on Uniswap, then it will sell down. Of course, that's what AMM will do. And now it's time to accumulate again. Because the fundamentally most important statement that we can all make here is if you hold the stock, the CEO is coming back every 3 months and he's buying it from you. He's coming onto Uniswap and he's spending 1% of his revenues buying that stock. So to hold that stock means you will always have a buyer coming in, pulling the price up. That's the nature of automated market. So for that, I think, do your research, like the company. If it rallies, sell some to cover your costs. If it dips, buy the dip. You've heard the story before, buy the dip. Because if you still believe it's a fundamentally good play, we have CEOs who are lining up for 2, 3, 5 years worth of their income to buy back these tokens. And 1% is the minimum that they're going to be spending. So this is not an overnight. Really, if you're into GCSE for 5 minutes just to get a 300x, it's the wrong token. You need to look at other tokens. You need to look at this fundamentally as a business. and look at what it's going to do for your portfolio. And it's not going to bring it up by 6 and 8%, which is, your pension fund or your hedge fund play. It will rally like crazy, of course, because Uniswap has that. That's what's so exciting about it. And then when the CEOs come in and buy back, it's a great opportunity. I think it's a fundamental.
Oh, we seem to have lost Brian. Sorry. Oh, he's back in.
Because you're buying into a good company.
Okay, we lost you there for a second, but
Okay.
you're back now. So what you're kind of saying there is that, yes, the price went from, say, 10 cents to 30 cents in a very unlinear journey. There's been a lot of buying and selling, and now kind of the price impact we've seen the last week, that might scare someone who's brand new to crypto, who there's probably a lot of them in GCAC at the moment because they've come from the stock world. So you're kind of saying that the people who have been selling the last couple of weeks are the people who got in very early, kind of before we reached, or we were in price discovery, and now we've kind of found a bit of our price, and now there'll be people coming in now looking at the buybacks in the future who aren't just looking for the 300x. So we've kind of stopped one period. Now we're entering the main period of the stock's life, or the token's life.
Yeah.
So they shouldn't really be worried too much. Is that what you're saying?
I wouldn't be. I mean, we know that we know its contracts. This particular company is very interesting, GCAC. We know it's got a good management team. It's got good clients. It's got an amazing asset on its balance sheet now, which is, fundamentally part of the Uniswap play here as well for them. And they're doing exciting things. So are we in a place where the fundamentals are strong? Yes. The fundamentals of this company haven't changed. If I told anyone at the beginning of this journey, Cal, really, that we're going to put this token out at 10 cent, because that's, it was to be capitalized by Abbey at that level and the liquidity pool. If I told anybody that token was going to 50 cent, and we got, oh my God, 5x, what for? How are you going to go to 5x? And then if I told them, no, it might go to $1, 10x, are you insane? Why would it go to 10x? And, yes, it spiked to nearly 80x, so, or 800, I mean, it went crazy. Of course, it did go crazy. But the space in Uniswap is so volatile and so exciting that the anecdotal thing, and it beggars belief, and I know the development team, because when they published the Uniswap contract, we spotted this. When we published the contract, we were actually, the block that it was published on had actually a buyer in it. We have no idea where he came from. There's no way he could have possibly known anything about the token, ever.
Yeah.
So we were effectively front run on our own token the moment in the same block that we published it in. So that guy picked them up at 10 cents. Now he could have held on to nearly $80. He didn't, as it turned out, but good luck to him. He was willing to go and take a look at this, because Carl, in that model, he only has to be right 1 in 800 times. 800x means you only have to be right 1 in 800 times.
Yeah.
And the chances of you being right more than once in 800 times are pretty high. So it's a good model if he managed to follow through on that. But really, these are the core fundamentals, that it's a good company. To your point, Cal, I think the price is stabilizing at $30. The buyback, the quarter ends and the filings, I believe, are around June 1. So somewhere after June 1, the CEO will take at least 1% of his quarterly revenue and come in and just put a buy order in. Will he stagger it to try and offset any lumpy price movements, or be front run effectively by the community? Just wait for the order book style thing to appear. If he feels that the stock is just rallying in order to capture his buy-in, then will he do anything about it? I don't know. Personally, I don't think he will, but he might. It's his choice. It's his money.
Because what people need to realize is that every time that the token price goes up by $10, their balance sheet increases by about $1 million worth of assets.
That's just it.
So
it's almost in his.
They're only going to start realizing the advantages of this in the next couple of quarters, once they start to try leverage a bit more with partnerships or with loans or
Correct.
whatever. Like they're only starting to realize the benefits of this now.
And now, Cal, just to your point there, they are realizing, and they will realize even more when the buybacks start this quarter, next quarter, quarter after, and so on. But you got to think, as a CEO from outside looking in, that I'm talking to next week, whatever, these CEOs are looking in, going, "Crikey, this is like,
Yeah,
this is fundamentally the right thing to do. You're exposing my stock and my company to a much wider audience, and don't for one moment think that all trading on Uniswap is just kind of dumb money trading on emotions and memes. It isn't. There's a lot of really sophisticated trading that happens on Uniswap. And people who do their research on trading patterns and so on, and on good fundamental analysis of tokens, understand how to analyze our token. And those folks that have done that, Cal, have brought it from 10 cents to $30. That's an incredible journey, and is
absolutely.
testament to the fact that I think that this model is here to stay. I really do. I think there's going to be an awful lot of CEOs and other businesses around the world that will be looking at a cross-fi play. They need to look at companies like Abby, because you need to know your way around capital markets, especially on the
Mm.
regulatory side and the filing side and other legal nonsense that has to be taken care of on the public side, which we know about. But ultimately, it is about getting liquidity into an interesting company with strong fundamentals. And the Uniswap play here is 10 cents to $30.
Yeah,
That's insane, and it's just insane in 3 weeks. Uh, and I think it's justified. I think 30 is justified. Seriously, I think 300 is justified in this scenario, because it's the first of its kind. The absolute wait till the world catches on about what we're doing here, what this movement of CrossFi really means. Dozens of tokens coming in like this, dozens of companies looking across the wall, or the divide, so to speak, between centralized finance, which is stockbrokers, fee
yeah,
takers, 2 and 20 carries, all these awful things that are just part of Manhattan and Wall Street. They're gone now. We're all in this together. Everyone's sitting here trading these tokens. We're in it together. We're buying and selling because we're doing our research, as it should be. Okay,
yeah,
we can have a punt at a meme every so often. No harm in that. But if it's a decent play with a decent upside, and with the downside cover, really the fact that this token is pegged or priced effectively in ETH. So when you're priced in the cryptocurrency Ether, then the meteoric rise of ETH of late, is you're not losing out on that because you're holding
yeah,
GCAC. You're still riding the same wave. You're just riding that wave plus the GCAC wave. It's this compounding effect of having a great crypto rally, right, which is fantastic, a very, very, very bullish rally at the moment, and now who knows, a very, very bullish play on the token that you've also effectively hedged your ETH with.
yeah,
It's a trader's dream once it catches on. I'm telling you, it's a trader's dream.
yeah. Because I'm sure what people in the group aren't really realizing is that we haven't really started marketing. We haven't brought on all the other CEOs following from the tokens that we're going to be releasing in the coming months. Like once all these people start to follow other tokens and say the next CEO's company, they start to research GCAC, then they're like, oh, that's a fantastic idea. Let's buy into that. Like there's going to be so much building on in the next coming months that people don't realize how early they really are to this.
Yeah. And we're talking about a company with 30, 40 million in market cap, which is the GCSE side of things. But think of some of these CEOs I'm talking to with companies of between 300 and 750 million in market cap. Think
Yeah.
of what their tokens are going to bring to the table. And to everyone on the call, I mean, it's a little bit inside-y kind of smiling, but I'm still going to structure the liquidity pool just as aggressively. It's a very aggressive liquidity pool at only 100,000 tokens, and $10,000 worth of ETH at the time. That's a very, very volatile pool. Now others have joined. There's been more adds to the pool since we seeded it, but ultimately it's a very volatile pool, and I think that's a really exciting way to do it. Let it suck in and let it rally really strongly at the beginning, which I think it will. And it's a personal thing, and it's just one of these things I convince those around me. I don't like nano pennies as a price. 0.001p
Yeah.
for this token or that. I just don't like it. I'd much prefer $42 is the price, $71 is the price, $140 for GameStop, $700 for Tesla. I can understand those. I feel as if I have something useful and tangible. Doesn't mean you have to buy a whole one in Uniswap, of course, but it does give you this feeling of a price where if I see loads of decimal places and then loads of numbers after so
Yeah.
many, I don't even know what the price is at that point, and convert it because it's like this long, it's kind of. I much prefer this model where we will have 30, 40, 50, 20, whatever, right, or 2,000 even if it goes to 60,000 or a token in this scenario, it's still an understandable number for me because 60,000 is a number we all have in our head because that's what Bitcoin is trading at. So it's a very natural pricing model, in my opinion, which
Yeah.
reflects much closer to stock market mentality and trading mentality on company fundamentals. Because when they're producing their fundamentals, they're producing them in dollars, not in nano pennies or some
Yeah.
other currency. So
Absolutely.
that's why I kind of went that route.
Okay. I'll
Happy
ask.
to be asked other questions or proven wrong in due course, but it's where we started
Yeah.
today.
I'll ask one or two more questions, and guys, make sure to ask in the comments if you do have any questions you'd like to hear Brian answer. But say at the moment, gas fees are always a talking point on Uniswap, and people can go to say Robinhood and get feeless transactions. So why should you go from being used to trading in Robinhood with feeless transactions to ETH, where there's possibly $40 to $50 worth of fees per transaction? What's the advantage of doing that?
Yeah, it's a it's a good question. I'm not sure if we were asked that from a person understanding this space very well. In that, if you think of what the mantra is for this moment or this movement, from this moment onward, we really want to attract everybody, Cal, right? So a $50 trading fee is exclusionary, by its very nature. If I only have $50 to trade with and I live in Malaysia and I'm 19 years old and I have access to crypto, I've Uniswap has basically precluded you from doing that. So there is a way, there's a mechanism where we will look in due course. I can't say too much on timing, but we will look to make sure that these tokens are also tradable on a more cost-effective. I suppose it doesn't take a gene to figure out that it will be on PancakeSwap, but there will be a way for people who have that $50, Cal, to be only spending 12 cent, 8 cent as a trading fee on gas on the Binance Smart Chain. There's some mechanical things that we need to figure out on that point, but fundamentally it's looking really exciting actually, and that's where I think we will have a very interesting model that I think will surprise some on how we're going to do that. So just
Definitely. Just watch this space, everyone.
it's like there's still some work to be done, but and some discussions to be had, so to speak. But if we pull it off, which I'm sure we will, from a technology point of view, if we pull it off, then we will effectively have a properly arbitraged solution. So not this pair of two new pools or anything like that. None of that stuff. It'll behave as you would as any other dual listed stock would behave. So if it's trading on one exchange like NASDAQ and then trading on another exchange like Frankfurt, how does it behave? Well, arbitrage makes sure that there's some sort of parity or equilibrium that's struck. Well, our model, our algorithms will be parity aware, let's call them that. So how arb is taken care of, arbitrage taken care of is up to somebody else, but fundamentally we will be in a position, I feel, with the technology approach we're taking, that we should be in a position to offer very low cost trading to the basically the capital outflows from Ethereum that have flown into Binance Smart Chain, because that's really on a banking or a financial point of view, it has been a capital outflow and a capital inflow.
Yeah.
So Binance Smart Chain has seen huge inflows of capital just because all of us who are not really up for spending $50 a trade go to PancakeSwap, okay, you have a little bit more exposure on BNB, but ultimately, look at the inertia behind a token like BNB from Binance. It's massive. It's the third largest
Yeah.
cryptocurrency. It's not going anywhere. Okay, it's
Yeah.
not recognized by the CFTC in America, but it's still a very, very powerful cryptocurrency. So I
Mhm.
don't really see any reason why we shouldn't be able to do what we're doing. But we really have to be aware of, we're not diluting. That's very, very important. We're
Yeah.
creating an ARB opportunity. That's a really exciting, I think, a very exciting
Yeah,
development.
definitely.
And I'm actually surprised I've told you that much so far today. But anyway, never mind.
We've got a couple of questions here. So Max says, do you think that CrossFi can become a new hype like an NFT? Are there other companies following a strategy like you? Not in terms of realism, I presume, more of pushing the idea of CrossFi.
No, I mean, can it reach the hype of something like NFTs? No, I would say NFTs under ERC 721, the way they're structured, an NFT is basically a GIF, an animated GIF, if you want. It's just basically an ERC20 with a URL. Um, Anybody can create those, Max. Really, you can just create those yourself right now, point and click. But not anybody can just go ahead and create a CrossFi ecosystem. So I don't think it will be as hyped as something as, let's say, retailer or easily available, easily replicatable. I think Crossfire is much more of a movement of very large objects as opposed to lots of little objects, which is NFT. I think it'd be very large
Yeah.
objects, and those large objects are effectively you being able to take positions on the upside of public companies that excite you and whose fundamentals you have to look at and believe that this could be something of interest to you. So I think that to me is why we're different in that respect. Does it mean we will have the same, we won't have the same capital influx as NFTs? No, it doesn't. NFTs is made up of millions of $1 transactions. We may be made up of $1 million transaction. That's kind of how that would play out, in my opinion.
Yeah.
So the other part, anyone else doing strategies like us, not that I'm aware of. To that point, I mean, the CEOs that I've spoken to, not one has said no. That's where we are today. Not one CEO has said they don't want to do this, that they're not interested in DeFi. They're all interested in DeFi. So, and as they should be, because ultimately, the move, the capital outflows now from traditional capital markets for those folks who have shares on national stock exchanges right now, you kind of have to ask yourself, would I leave my shares and pay all the brokerage fees and have all this cash tied up, etc.,
Mhm.
when I could actually go over and do it on crypto, gain the upside on the crypto movement, or then hedge into USDT or USDC when crypto is in a bearish mood? You're not losing out on anything. You're just playing a smart money game. So
Yeah.
I just think the concept of CrossFi is new. Does it mean people won't copy us? No, of course, people may copy us. Uh,
Yeah.
do people have the technology skills to do it? Possibly, yeah. I would think you might be able to find teams who could do it. Do they have the capital markets background that we have combined with the tech? I think we have a fairly unique and thoroughly competent
Yeah.
team to execute CrossFi. And for that, I don't think right now we have anybody who's a direct competitor as I'm sitting here talking to you today.
Okay, great. We've another question. Make sure to keep them coming if you have any. Hi, Brian and Calum. Thanks for doing this. There are now projects coming up dealing with synthetic stocks on the blockchain. Do you see this as a competing supplementary product?
First of all, synthetic stocks are fairly tricky because of settlement. So you have an issue with this is mirroring Tesla, for instance. So when Tesla goes up, this goes up, and so on. You're you're looking at something that of course isn't real. It's not a real Tesla stock because to hold Tesla stock and fractionalize their ownership amongst DeFi, you need to be regulated. You have to be. It's the law. So you mightn't like it. You mightn't like to hear that it's the law, but you and I can't buy a whole Tesla share right now and ask our stockbroker to post us a certificate and then sell 1/100th of that share to everybody for $7. It's against the law because there's no
Yeah.
cash settlement. There's no. It's a very complex position. So with synthetic stocks, like on the blockchain, I mean, On a blockchain like Ethereum, you can represent securities that you have long in a safe or in some custodial type account. Effectively, then you're into this whole trustless versus non-trustless environment. And the stock, really, Magic Man, do you think these synthetic stocks trade in the same way? I don't think they do. I think they're very illiquid in some instances on a blockchain platform. What they look like on PancakeSwap now is another question entirely. But certainly on Uniswap, I think they'd be rather illiquid because of the costs of moving them. Unless, again, you're whale type money, if you're moving tens of thousands of dollars at a time, and you believe that the person who says they have the shares are A, regulated, and B, have some sort of approval or audit of the fact that they're long those stocks. I just be careful with them personally, especially if they're offshore. If they're US based and it's a US issuer, I think you're safer. If it's non-US selling you the synthetics, I'd just be a little cautious on that one personally. Look, caveat emptor, right? You could buy into it, it could double your money in 10 seconds, and I would have been sitting here wrong, absolutely. So I can't tell you not to do it, but I would certainly think that the fundamental premise behind fractionalized ownership of a synthetic stock on a blockchain needs a little bit more disclosure than potentially might be available. I'd have to look, you'd have to send us a link or something, and maybe we'll be able to make a more thorough comment on that. Is it supplementary? Not really. I can't, much as I think Elon is a visionary, I can't imagine Elon giving us some of his shares to, or doing a 1% buyback on Uniswap with us. But I think we're kind of more competing. We'll get CEOs to sign up to actually do a buyback. That's what we do. A synthetic stock will have zero CEO buy-in. No CEO is going to buy into a synthetic. I'm pretty certain of that.
Yeah.
Just for the regulatory side of things.
Just on that. Yeah, on that, like when you go to a CEO, when you're talking to them first, what's their initial reaction? Are they like, okay, this isn't possible? Or are they open to and excited about
They're
it?
open.
Like, just describe that.
The guys I've spoken to first, Cal, are very much blockchain people anyway. They have blockchain derived businesses, real businesses. So probably the most exciting blockchain verticals now that are very well funded today would be in the gaming space. So we're speaking to quite a few gaming type platforms. We also have like an affinity, I suppose, to those folks who are on the Solidity space more so at the moment. Now, there are some really, really exciting layer one new blockchains coming out. None more so, I think, than Chia. I think Chia is a really exciting blockchain. And there's other exciting blockchains that we look at. But for now, I think on the Solidity side, and which is Ethereum effectively and Binance Smart Chain, those are the ones where we're getting most interest, with most CEOs understanding those principles, understanding what those blockchains are capable of. Now, do they all understand Uniswap and automated market making? No, they don't. I really have to spoon feed that, but that's not that difficult. That's and then the excitement starts. And it isn't the 300x. Oh, look what we did with GCSE. It isn't that. It's much more. Hold on, you're opening up a blockchain play, which is maybe a blockchain game or something, into an entire new ecosystem of smart money, understanding what it is we do, who may not have had the opportunity to invest in us, during the last private placement or whatever,
Yeah. All right. That's about half an hour. We don't want to bore you too much. So if there's no more questions, we'll wrap it up there, and I'm sure we'll do this again soon enough. So thanks for everyone for joining. Thanks for Brian for being with us today. I know you're a busy man, but
and thanks for setting up, Cal.
Absolutely. Let us know if there's anything else we can do to answer any of your questions and any suggestions for next time. But
we'll see you over on Telegram.
Yeah, absolutely. All right.
And good luck on your exams, Cal.
Thanks. Bye.